Look, Charlie was threatened. He was threatened a lot, I would say, threatened financially. And I want to be clear, it wasn't just by Jewish donors, but also by Christian Zionist donors. What is Christian Zionism? We're all wondering. We're having that conversation now as a society. Like, what does this actually mean? Doesn't feel too Christian. It kind of feels like here is how Christians better behave and act. And we're going to try to package it in a Bible verse. That's how it's starting to feel to me. And I think a lot of people, well, this is not going to help. Let's just back up. In July, we know that's when things went sideways for Charlie Kirk, right? He stepped out of line because he hosted Tucker Carlson at their SAS event in July. And I want to be clear here. If we're just asking ourselves the question, what exactly did Tucker do or say that was so controversial? Nothing at all. He asked reasonable questions that were on everybody's mind, questions about Jeffrey Epstein. That's pretty fair to open that conversation. He asked about why it seems he's somehow protected, where his money came from. He asked about Israeli blackmail operations. Tucker, for being clear here, what Tucker did was he was honest. Take a listen.
How does a guy go from being a math teacher at the Dalton School in the late 70s with no college degree to having multiple airplanes, a private island, and the largest residential house in Manhattan? Where did all the money come from? And no one has ever gotten to the bottom of that because no one has ever tried. And moreover, it's extremely obvious to anyone who watches that this guy had direct connections to a foreign government. Now, no one's allowed to say that that foreign government is Israel because we have been somehow cowed into thinking that that's naughty. There is nothing wrong with saying that. There is nothing hateful about saying that. There's nothing anti-Semitic about saying that. There's nothing even anti-Israel about saying that. I've spent my entire life pretty much in Washington, where I knew and loved a number of people, including one very close person who worked at CIA. That has never prohibited me from saying, I think the CIA has done some horrible things, murdered a bunch of people, participated in the murder of a sitting US president. It's got a whole trail of crimes. That doesn't make me a disloyal American. It doesn't make me anti-American in any sense. I was born here. My family's been here for hundreds of years. I love this country. That's why I live here. So criticizing the behavior of a government agency does not make you a hater. It makes you a free person. It makes you a citizen. You're allowed to do that because you're not a slave, you're a citizen. And you have a right to expect that your government will not act against your interests, and you have a right to demand that foreign governments not be allowed to act against your interest. That's not creepy. It shouldn't be forbidden. And yet all of us have trained ourselves to believe that you can't say that somehow, that that's like too naughty and forbidden. And the effect of making that off limits has been to create a lot of resentment, and I'll say it, hate online, where people feel like they can't just say, like, what the hell is this? You have the former Israeli prime minister living in your house. You have had all this contact with the foreign government. Were you working on behalf of Mossad? Were you running a blackmail operation on behalf of a foreign government?
Oh, Tucker, but it is forbidden. You look out in an audience, they're cheering, they agree with you because it makes sense. But Tucker, to some people in this society, if we're being honest, they do view us as slaves. They've given us the illusion of freedom. They gave Charlie the illusion of freedom. Yeah, Charlie, go out there, fight for free markets and capitalism. This is your company. This is your organization. You built this. You were young. You didn't get into West Point, and you built this because you care about free markets and capitalism. And of course, free speech. And then when Charlie started prodding the narrative about Israel, suddenly he realized he wasn't a free man. He wasn't a free man at all. And he wasn't even free to invite who he wanted to invite to speak on his stage. You know, I showed you guys that text thread. I could show you more, where Charlie was saying that he's thinking that he wants to invite Candace. Well, also, I can confirm to you today that on September 9th, amongst a smaller pool of TPUSA employees, Charlie sent a text saying, the day before he died, that he wanted to invite me to AmFest. Yeah, no, that wasn't allowed to happen because this Tucker speech wasn't allowed to happen. That speech was disobedient to Israel's aims. I'm going to now read you an unhinged text message that Charlie received, this time from a female Christian donor, Zionist, of course. And as I read this, I want you to keep in mind that this information, once again, is being shared to you from me, not from Charlie's closest friends over at Turning Point USA, who purport to care about what happened to him, purport to want the truth to get out, except not when it comes to the pressure that Charlie was under in the months leading up to his assassination, pressure that was coming from donors. These people, in fact, wouldn't dare utter a bad word about Israel. Tons to say about Candace Owens. They're not going to send any legal letters over to anybody that is pro-Israel. Yeah, it seems that that's the way, right? Not for a single second do they want to betray the Israel narrative. Israel as a friend and ally, not just the United States, but of course to Charlie Kirk until the very end. Now, I'm letting you know that I have copy and pasted this message and sent it to my team and sent it back because I want to make sure that where and who this message came from is not obvious. But this is a real message. Andrew Kovac can confirm it's real. Erica Kirk can confirm it's real, that Charlie Kirk received this. Let's read this, okay? All of the people that trusted you, Jews and Christians, including me, why would you platform anti-Semites like Candace and Tucker? There are many evangelical Christian Zionists who would never give these people the opportunity to spew their hatred. I'm one of them. You say people are accusing you of being an anti-Semite because you disagree with the Israeli government. Well, what is it exactly that you disagree with? You threatened Jews and Christians with your 30 million followers. Are you kidding? Be very careful, Charlie. You are in violation of the 9th commandment by bearing false witness against your brother Judah. When was the last time you read your Bible, Charlie? I'm coming to you as a believer. Genesis 12:3. Obadiah and many more prophets warned that those who curse Israel will be cursed. Your TPUSA Tampa event was a disaster. Michelle Bachmann was booed, and about 10% walked out on her when she talked about standing with Israel. You brag about how you convinced all these young voters to vote for Trump, but you can't convince them to stand with our Jewish brethren. This is not a joke, Charlie. I'm coming to you as a sister in faith. You have accomplished so much by the hand of the Almighty, but he is going to lift his hand from you. Don't fall for Tucker, Candace, and the rest. The Jews are under attack. God warns us in the last days that he will wipe out the descendants of Edom because they stood by while their brothers, Jacob, Israel, was held in captivity and did nothing. Don't be counted among the Edomites. It will be to your peril, as well as the unfinished work God was going to do through you. But it's in a Bible verse, so he should be like chill with that. No, he wasn't chill with that. He did feel threatened by that. That feels like you're pretending to be a Christian, but you have specific marching orders, and you don't think there's a single reason why Charlie could reasonably critique what Israel is doing after what's been done in Gaza. They've effectively have turned Gaza into a parking lot, and this is how you come at him over Tucker's speech? Tucker's totally reasonable speech speaking about Jeffrey Epstein. Hey, he harmed children. And he is being protected because he did that on behalf of Israel. He did that for Israel. Blackmail operation for Israel. Everybody knows that, including Gen Z. And you're telling Charlie it's his job to convince Gen Z, like he's a psychological operation, that that's okay? That what Jeffrey Epstein did is fine? Because he has to stand with Judah. He has to look at what happened. He's got to flip to Genesis and understand that even when they are behaving murderously, even when they are harming children, he better figure out how to support them and how to lie to people about how he feels about what they're doing. That's really something. Really something, again, that you are hearing this from me. It is becoming increasingly difficult to imagine how Turning Point is not naming and shaming these people. I give them an opportunity here. Why don't you come out and say who sent Charlie that message? You won't. You won't. Of course you won't.